Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the Mystic in Training podcast with me, your host, Melissa Amos. This one is for you if you feel like you're one of the healers of the world, because what I have noticed is that there seems to be these patterns which come about when we take on the role as healers. It's almost as if the world thinks that there's a problem and it becomes up to us to fix it. And not only does it become up to us to fix it, but it comes up to us to fix it in a way that is accessible, in a way maybe that is free, this is your duty, and so you must be doing it. And the longer I have been on this path, the more I realize actually how destructive this is, not just to the healer, not just to the person that's holding this energy or that's holding these skills, these values, these talents, these abilities, but also to the people that we're helping, also to the world at large. Because what it's actually doing is devaluing the point of healing. It's devaluing what we're doing, and it's devaluing what we are doing as people on the evolution path, as people who are wanting to heal. We are saying that all of these other things are more important. All of these other things are what needs to be invested in. Whereas the healing path, that's just for, it goes down our list. We'd rather spend more on our phone bill or our monthly tech than we would on our healing. Now, I think that this also starts with what we were speaking about last week, with what the definition of healing is. And if we're speaking about healing as an evolution path, rather than healing about something that's here to be fixed, well, then it changes everything, right? It changes the whole mindset. First of all, it means that we don't need to have a problem. Secondly, it puts who we are at the forefront of the work that we're doing and the life that we're living. And it shows that we are, as I think nature intended, that we were always meant to evolve and we were always meant to grow, and that we weren't ever meant to stay the same. And it's funny because when we look at the healing path, when we look at where people do invest in healing, it's when something's gone drastically wrong. We've had a grievance in our life, we've lost a job, or we've changed circumstances, or we've been through a divorce, or we've lost a family member, or we've had a nervous breakdown, right? And we come to this healing for I need to get back. I need to get back to how I was. I don't feel myself. And so I want to come back to who I was. But when we think about healing as an evolution, we never were meant to come back to who we were. We were meant to take who we were and then become who we're becoming. And I think when we begin to change the narrative around what that means for us as healers, as us as practitioners, and as us as people who are evolving and, wanting and drawn to finding these forms of therapy, that the more value we place on that, then the more value we place on our growth. The more value we place on, I'm here to make a difference in the world. The more value we place on, this is what I love. And this is what I want more of in my life, rather than just kind of trying to go back to who we were. And yes, we might have fond memories. We might have rose-colored glasses about what it was like back in the name your favorite decade. But think about you. What is it that you're trying to bring back from that? Is it that you're trying to bring back the sense of freedom that you had then? Is it that you're trying to bring back the sense of, and I suspect it's this, hope, this expectations of excitement, this I wonder what I'm doing with my life. You think back to your school days and it's I've got my whole life ahead of me and I wonder what it is that I'm going to be doing. And people ask you that, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to become? And I think from those teenage years when we actually have zero idea what it was we want to do, and we are probably more influenced from what we see from society. But what it is that we're tapping into is this possibility and change. And why does that suddenly finish when you turn 25 or 35 or 45 or 55 or 65 or even 105? whatever age you're at, we still have our whole life ahead of us, and we can still make choices and we can still make change. And maybe that's what we're meant to. And all the while that we're trying to go back, all the while that we're trying to find ourselves in that perfect place that we found ourselves in, things weren't perfect then. But I think I'm onto something here. I think there's something about the feeling of possibility, of I know there's more to life and I'm about to go and explore it. And that's what we're trying to find. And I actually think that as healers, as practitioners, that our job is to help our clients find that, rather than give me a problem, let's fix it and we'll go back to where we were, which, by the way, has a finite value, because most people who got to where they were like kind of for free or kind of by accident. There was no intention. There was no, well, I'm going to do this, and this, and then it's going to lead me to this. We just kind of find ourselves being pulled by our circumstances, and probably being pulled by those invisible strings that are our conditionings, right? That are our societal expectations of what is possible for us, with the labels that have been placed upon us, with what our parents would love for us to do, with what is possible for, in inverted quotes, somebody like me. And so we found ourselves there, and then something breaks. And then we go to the therapist and we think, well, I'm going to spend my 50, 60, 80 pound, or I'm going to have my 6 weeks of cognitive behavioral therapy and CBT, and then I'm going to be back to normal. No. And you know what? I think as healers, as practitioners, as therapists, as coaches, as mentors, as guides, I think it's up to us actually to change that narrative. I think it's up to us to go, you know what? This is the most important work. This is the point. Who are we in this life? And who were we in this life? And who are we becoming? If you were at your highest point, what would you be? And if you were at your highest point, and what I mean by that is that feeling of fulfillment, that feeling of I'm making a difference in the world, that feeling of, yes, this is my life and I'm living it. Suddenly, that's not 6 weeks of £50 sessions. Suddenly, like, this is my life's work. And what value do I put on that? What value do I place on? How much energy do I bring into this? How much investment do I bring into this? And not just in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of commitment, in terms of devotion. And actually, in this day and age, that is often related to money. I've made many investments in my life in very different things, and it's often the ones which have resulted in a good exchange of money that I've got the most out of. And it's not necessarily because it's better, but it's this whole exchange in the beginning of, I'm betting on myself. This is important to me. The psychological response that we're giving to ourselves when we're actually saying, at this work that I've done and this money that I've made, I'm spending that on this. This is important. This is as important as going on a holiday. Right? This is as important of having 1 week or 2 weeks away by a swimming pool in the sunshine, if you're privileged enough to do that, and then to come back and just life starts lifing again. What if we created a life that we didn't need to holiday from? And then we can go on holiday and actually enjoy it, rather than spend a week somewhere by the sea, spending the first 3 days trying to wind down, the next 3 days getting over the cold that finally comes out because it's like, well, she's resting. So let's do that. And then coming back and having to unpack and having to do all the laundry and all of the things and throw yourself back into the work and throw yourself back into the life, and nothing's changed. I think when we're in the mindset of, well, I'm always evolving, I'm always changing, I'm always becoming, what is this life lesson bringing to me? It absolutely changes how we see healing. It absolutely changes the value we put on that. And I wonder if that's just it. People see the healing as the holiday, as the spa day. Well, I'm going to spend £100 and I'm going to go on the spa day and I'm going to relax and I'm going to come back and everything will feel better. Everything will be back. I'm resetting. Well, what if we stop resetting? What if we start becoming? What if we take that spa day or we take that holiday and we use it to tune into the desires? What if we used it to tune into the invisible shadows, the invisible puppeteers? What if we used it to ask us those big questions rather than sitting there scrolling on our phones and looking around for just a moment going, well, isn't this nice? And then worrying about what's waiting for us when we come home. That's not evolution. That's not life. That's not why we're here. That is not the path of the mystic. A mystic in training is somebody who takes every opportunity and goes, I wonder what's in this for me. That values the life path really above everything. A life path, of course, that involves connections and involves helping others and involves giving and involves doing things that we don't want to do, which involves challenges that we need to face and overcome, that involves lifing, but there's a difference. There's an essence. And I think it's all based on the value system. Like, what do I value most? That day when I said, I'm going to live a soul-led life, it changed things because suddenly my soul went, okay, we're going to do this. What value do you place on it? £50 to spend on a course that you'll probably half look at. And again, it's not all about the money, but the money is a big part of this. Am I going to spend £5,000 on a holiday? Or am I going to take that same £5,000 and spend it on my growth? Which is most important? And how do I create a life where I can have that balance? And I understand that this can be seen as a privileged position. And I understand my privilege and how I've worked to get to where I am. But there's no point me having this and having this platform and having this privilege and having this ability to impact and not doing anything with it and not walking my talk. This is me walking my talk. This is me creating that change that I see time and time again, because I see good people wanting to come in and wanting to be the healers. They're answering the call within them. And this is not an easy path. This is a path that takes dedication. This is a path that takes courage. This is a path that takes looking in the deep, dark corners that nobody wants to look at. This is the path that risks you being ostracized or seen as weird or being pushed out of the tribe. And we're tribal beings. And I witnessed all of that. And then I see people getting stuck in the loop of, well, now I need to go and fix the problem. No, you don't need to fix the problem. Let's stop talking like that. It's not your responsibility to fix anybody else. It's your responsibility to keep on growing and to normalize that growth. And it starts with how we speak about it. It starts with the reverence that we put upon this. No, you don't need to have your dark night of the soul to become this. No, you don't need to hit rock bottom before you seek help. Let's keep on growing and let's keep growing together. And I've walked through that path and I am keeping on growing. And so come along, let's go and walk this path together. That's priceless. And it begins with, how much am I willing to invest in my time, in my energy, in my devotion, in my money, in my resources, all of it together. And I see people do it. But here's the other thing. When we're coming at this path, so you can be hearing what I'm saying, I'm going, right, well, now I need to spend all my money on doing this because it's going to fix the problem. No. You are missing my point. Because I've seen that too. People spending all of their money on the path going, well, this is going to fix it. And then nothing happens because there's that lack, there's that desperation, there's that decision. And when I make a decision, I'm really coming in lack. I'm coming in the decease, right? Like I'm going to pick one in lieu of the other. This is this or this. But when I'm making those investments, not from how is this going to fix an issue that I'm facing, but you come at it from what am I going to learn from this and how am I going to grow from this? How can I be curious? I'm devoted to whatever lesson comes at this for me. Then inevitably what you receive from that becomes more. And what do I do to embody this? What do I become? And none of this is going to change whilst we as healers, therapists, coaches take on the responsibility, the full responsibility of, well, I have these skills, so I'm going to fix it. And every time people speak to you about it and they're like, you charge how much? You're doing what? Having that centeredness enough to turn around and say, well, you know what I'm doing? I'm helping you live your life and I'm living mine. And just like a flower, I'm growing. And that's my purpose, to grow, to know myself, to know what I'm growing into, and to grow into my highest identity. That's what we are doing as healers. And what is that worth? This is my question to you. What is that worth? This is the new paradigm we're stepping into. This is how I see it anyway, the way that the healing space, the wellness space needs to move and change into. Less about soothing, yes. Nervous system regulation is really important, but we're not coming back. We're not doing it to keep coming back into who we were. We're becoming who we are. And this is our job. And I want you, if you're listening to this, to start valuing that for yourself and for your clients. I'm saying it again, it starts with us. We're the ones that have to show how important this is. They're not going to because they don't know it yet. And you can look at your path and how you've been through the hardest times that you've ever been through, and how no, you wouldn't wish that on anybody. And no, this wasn't a lesson sent down to you from the universe to punish you for some bad thing that you said once in 1428. And you got through it. And now you have resources that you didn't have before. Now you have compassion that you didn't have before. Now you have life experience that you didn't have before. And by you doing your work and by you stepping into this role as the guide, you're helping others navigate through their challenges, which inevitably they'll do. This is the human way. How do I bring resilience? Not through keep on bashing her down and see how many times she can spring back up again, but through, where's my baseline today? How do I increase my baseline? That's the evolution. I keep on increasing the baseline. And then the work that happens in between, the nervous system regulation, the kind of therapy top-ups, the time on the Reiki table or in the massage chair or having the energy work, well, that brings us back into that. That takes those conditioned minds and kind of quietens down for a bit so that we can hear the sound of our soul. And so that we ask the question, what now? What now? What now? That's the difference that we're making. And I say it again, it starts with us. It starts with us and how we value our work, what value we put upon it. This whole come for one session, it'll be fine, change your life. You will for a moment, but where is that going to create the evolution that you know is possible for you and your clients? Oh, just come, I'm just going to do this Reiki thing. And they're like, okay, I'll try it. And they'll feel good because Reiki, and this kind of work is incredible. But then it takes the work and the dedication and the devotion. And it's up to you to show that to them. And this is what we're stepping into. This is what I'm stepping into. And this is why I keep holding my work at such a high standard, because I see what change it can make in the world. And quite frankly, it gives me the opportunities to do things like this podcast, which is available to anybody, and to have these conversations that are available to anybody. And if you're not in a position to invest, for example, financially, there's plenty of resources. And so you ask yourself, what devotion and dedication do I put to that? I began there. I began with all the freebies. I went to all the summits and paid the $99 or whatever for the lifetime access when I could. or just went to the free things and went to a £5 circle. I did all of that. And then as I built, I reinvested because I saw the growth, and we continued. And each time it's increased in leaps and bounds because of the message I'm sending myself every time I make this investment. Time, devotion, money, all of it. And so that, dear listener, is my TED Talk for the day. And I hope that you take this with the intent that it was always meant to. And you hear the passion that I have in my voice for the change that we want to create. If we are going to be healers, and if we are going to be therapists, and we're going to be practitioners, and we're going to be holding this space and creating, being part of this new paradigm, creating the new paradigm, I will even say, then it's up to us. It's up to us to go, you know what? The work I do is valuable. I'm not just fixing your problem. I'm helping you evolve. You in? Come in. It's going to take some time. And you've got my dedication. You've got my devotion. And in order for that, there's an energy exchange that needs to happen. In order for me to hold this space for you, which, let's face it, is not easy. It's not an easy job. Even if you love it, even if it energizes you, even if, you're like, I was born for this, still not easy. You're holding people through their times. You're holding them through their doubts. And so in order for me to do this to you, I need to be able to receive as well. I need to be able to fill my cup as well. I need to know that you're valuing this as much as I'm valuing this. And that is the energy exchange, which you can do 1 billion amazing sessions for free, and they won't value it. They just won't. Oh, it was nice. Oh, it was amazing. Thank you so much. Great. And if you want me to hold you in your highest timeline, if you want me to be devoted to you, I need to see your devotion to me. That's how we change the world. That's how we start a new paradigm. And so I've opened up a conversation, and I'm happy to continue it. The comment sections are open. The text me button is available. This may have pulled a trigger or two, and that's okay. I ask you to sit with it. This is the path of the mystic. This is what it means to be a mystic in training. We get curious. We ask questions. We ask, what now? And so that's my question for you today. With all of this information, just feel where it feels. And then just ask yourself, what now? And I will connect with you again on the next episode of the Mystic in Training podcast. Much love to you all.